I don't know, I kind of choose to forget. So anyways, we're going to see I'm assuming a big game here. We haven't seen a lot of late tech. I mean, we see Reaver tech, but no Arbiters or anything like that. Oh, wow. And a Mind Drag from a Dragoon there, taking out a lot of, or about 3 Vultures, and the Vultures might get caught out of position in the middle there and get taken out by the Dragoons, but a Vulture's get a run by. No, they're not going to get a run by there, and there's plenty of defense outside of the expansion for KaL. So KaL is doing fine right now. It looks like that currently KaL is actually macroing up faster than KaL is actually macroing up a bit faster than Fantasy is as far as getting more units out. He does have a higher food count by about 30. So unless KaL just decides, I mean, both players could certainly just wait until they're maxed out. KaL definitely has the ability to do that right now. Although Fantasy is kind of saving minerals, he isn't really building quite as fast, so that probably explains it. Fantasy certainly looked like he was turtling hard, but he is moving out with a lot of Vultures. A lot of Vultures. Fantasy does love his Vultures. He does love the Vultures, and he loves to lay a lot of mines, as we can see here, because he's trying to lay mines around the map. And of course, you're going to lose a couple Vultures here and there if you are laying tons of mines. The problem is the mines aren't really doing a whole lot. I mean, you can see there's mines there, and there's an observer right up. And I don't know if Fantasy sees that or not. But 2 shuttles out. Oh, wow. And losing a quick Dragoon there. He does have a Reaver with a little bit of health. I'm not sure if he has another Reaver in any of those shuttles. But we are going to see Arbiter Tech coming out here. And that's what I was wondering, is where the Arbiter Tech was. Because KaL is getting a lot of units. And we can certainly see a recall coming in here at some point. And a pretty good job clearing out the mines there. Definitely taking some damage, but he's just taking damage on a few units. And a third expansion coming up. Wait, 1, 2, 3. I believe that actually is a 4th expansion, and just getting scanned there. But look at that. Look how calm Fantasy is, dude. He's such a beast. I'm occasionally drinking water here because I've been talking for 2 hours in that podcast, and it looks like both players are getting close to max out here. Just now, KaL is maxed out, but Fantasy has so many units. And certainly, if not microed well, a maxed out Protoss army can certainly just break against a not even maxed out Terran army and still get destroyed. As long as Terran is rolling deep with the tanks and has plenty of Vultures to protect them. As we can see, Fantasy has. He even threw some Goliaths there into the mix. I like Fantasy's composition of his army right now. I think he's doing a good job, but there's also a great mix for KaL. Again, I don't see even a lot of tier 2 units for KaL. Like Templars here. I would like to see some Templars. Storms could do a ton of damage. I mean, look at Fantasy. There is one Templar not able to even get off a storm. No storms, and we see kind of a slight sandwich attack coming in here. This attack actually could do quite a bit of damage by KaL coming in here, but Fantasy is so good microing his Vultures. He is keeping back the Dragoons and the Zealots with all of his Vultures and using his tanks to shell, and KaL is looking a little bit nervous here. He is sweating. Fantasy is just sitting there with his usual stone-faced awesomeness. And look at the count there. The players now going in favor of Fantasy by almost 30, by almost 40, 50 count now. Fantasy is tearing through KaL right now because he's just such a large Terran army. And KaL is in a lot of trouble. He's now down by 60 food. Fantasy is just macroing. Fantasy is going to take out this expansion. I don't see what KaL can do right now because Fantasy does have plenty of defense at home. And, I mean, even if KaL at this point were to take out an expansion of Fantasy, which I don't think he can do, I don't feel... Well, he did, actually. He did. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. He did actually stop mining at a base with Zealots and take out several SCVs earlier. Oh, and a Dark Templar. Desperation move in the mix here. All Fantasy has to do is scan. Oh, and that Dark Templar actually doing a good job to take out 2 tanks. KaL is going to try to macro up. He might be able to pull off some sort of sandwiched attack here, but I haven't seen the Reaver used at all because the Reaver can't be used because it's going to get bombarded by tanks. And here come the Vultures. When Vultures are able to take out an entire group of Dragoons just on their own, then you know you're in trouble. And we see a bunch of idle drones just sitting there, not able to do anything there for KaL. And I feel like KaL at this point, once Fantasy starts moving up this massive ball of tanks, KaL is going to be typing in the GG here because he did fight a good fight. I would have liked to see a recall. I would have liked to see some storms. I feel like I don't really know. I mean, Fantasy has been played this whole game at a very, very high level, and KaL decided to just kind of stay and trying to just mass and macro, and you really can't do that against a player like Fantasy. Not at least on this map right here. So I mean, you definitely have to have some sort of tact when it comes to this, and I felt like that KaL just didn't have as much. I mean, he tried going for a Reaver drop, killed a few things. But I felt like Fantasy really just kind of took control of this game by the fact that he just had so many units. And a Dark Templar, I didn't see how many kills were on it before it died. I think it was 4 or 5 there. But this game is pretty much over, I'm assuming here. Fantasy, well, able to take out almost every single probe at that mining base there, and stopping the other expansion from mining here. Just macroing like crazy, building nothing but just tons of vultures and a few tanks. And these tanks are in the main right now, and I'm kind of surprised KaL hasn't already GG'd at this point. Just kind of waiting for that at this point here. So maybe this game wasn't quite as epic as I thought it would be. I hope the rest of the series, whether it's 2 or 3 games, I'm not sure at this point. So I'm hoping the next game is good. Because this was kind of a little bit more of Fantasy getting a lot of units and then steamrolling the inferior micro of KaL. Although KaL certainly did a good job trying to macro up. At this point, he is at 66 food to Fantasy's 141 food. So, and Fantasy's food count is consistently raising, and KaL's food count is consistently lowering, as you can see by running through a mine there and getting owned by random vultures taking out his probes. So I'm kind of, again, I'm waiting for the punch out. This is that awkward point in a game when we pretty much know who's going to win, and a Wraith coming out, possibly to try to take out a shuttle, or just because he can, and Fantasy can make a Wraith if you want. If you wanted, he can go make 20 Wraiths right now and go own one of the expansions with all Wraiths, and a little stasis that is not going to do anything, and there is the GG. So KaL, you know, coming out looking okay in the beginning, but really just not able to keep up with Fantasy. Damn, Fantasy is just so good. Yeah, there's not much more to say. We're going to go on to Game 2, and we'll see if KaL can pull something off, improve his micro, and maybe try to do something creative to try to beat the Terran Beast ball that is Fantasy, who does have quite large balls, in fact. See you in Game 2.